Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here yet again. An iteration of Dude After Dark. This one, of course, being an occasion where I am actually hopefully making this thing work sort of, almost correctly. So hopefully good stuff like that there. Anyway, now looking in the room, I can see the chat room. Good stuff like that there. And we shall move out smartly, but firstly, most importantly, little hair of the tiger that bit me. Anyway, Patriot Fever in the room. Appreciate you hanging out with me tonight, dude. Reporting in all effects. Sure. Sure. Okay. Sound guy, what are you doing? No crazy stuff right now, okay? Stop. Let me scrolly. I don't know if you heard about this world-class piece of, no, he's more than that, sound guy. He's just, yeah, he's just, yeah, him.
Fatality.
Sound guy, no. He's that. Sarcastic rounds at the ready. Oh, man. This is one of those occasions, literally, you could say, like the holier than thou, or the rules for me and not for thee. We're going to be talking about Shri Thanadar, a world-class piece of yeah. So anyway, this piece of sound guy. Anyway, sound guy. You're gonna have a really big problem in there when anything makes a spark, okay? And when you do that,
but I pooped from there,
amongst other things, okay? You really truly make some amazingly obnoxious I told you. Good hang time. Anyway, so this Shri Thanadar creature looks like he's got the world's worst mop head wig ever. I cannot even begin to do it credit, but this guy looks like he's like anti-Q Asian guy wearing like the world's worst, and I didn't mean absolute worst wig ever. Illumination rounds ready for Sun Guy, complete with sparks. Yeah, I think he found that one out the hard way, that things just go kablooey. Anyway, get the Bic lighter away from your rear end. Seriously. He's just being icky, okay? Again, good hang time. So anyway, this guy is now making an accusation and an impeachment request upon Donald Trump. there's a lot to be said for this piece of. I got this one, sound guy. This total little pile of just absolute. Yeah. Oh, thanks, sound guy. Glad you approved. Anyway, so he's got a history. Okay, he's now elected. He's now a member in House or Senate, and he's filed impeachment stuff against Trump. However, why did he do this, and why is the timing so emblematically strange that actually three big name Democrats are like, Thor's hammer, we're out, we're not doing it, we're out, we're not doing it, we don't want any part of this whatsoever. Mostly because they see their approval numbers are pretty much, well, just, yeah, in the, yeah, really in the, yeah. Sound guy, I think they got it. No, you don't get a ding for that one, okay? No. So anyway, this guy has got a history. You know what I mean? He's really got a history. He's a world-class piece of, I got this one, sound guy. Just a world-class piece of, yeah, that. He is a stinking, yeah, just, yeah, that. Okay, sound guy's overlapping. Sound guy's overlapping the one that I'm doing, okay? I'm not going crazy. Sound guy, stop. Sound guy. He's really working the fart button tonight. Anyway, so his timing is specious. You know, Trump had, you know, enough people pissed off at him on the Democrat side of the aisle, but they know, no, big time, they know that their numbers suck. And I do mean absolutely horrendously bad responses. So anyway, it's come out to be that this guy now has, besides the whole thing about abandoning his little torture camp of, you know, experimenting upon animals for medical research and leaving dogs and monkeys and whatnot to die. It's a world-class piece of crap. Anyway, it's also come out that he has evidence that him, a Democrat from Michigan, who filed impeachment against President Donald Trump, has a slight problem. He did that to distract from an $800,000 campaign debt. Interesting. So his company is closed, bankrupt, leaves the animals to kind of fend for themselves in all their cages, and he's got an $800,000 campaign debt. Interesting. Excuse me 1 second here. So, FEC filings confirm Thananar's financial troubles, and sources allege that he's soliciting donations from Trump opponents for his quote-unquote impeach Trump campaign. This is pretty, I almost really, if there was a time I really wanted to curse this time, this would be it, because this guy really, yeah, he's drawing it down, man. He really is making it bloody damn obvious what he's trying to do, and he is just a stinking nasty pile of corrupted, yeah, Democrat pile dookie. So trying to divert funds to pay off his personal debts, no Democrats have publicly condemned Thananar's actions. Of course, they would not. With critics pointing out the shared opposition to Trump as the reason for their silence. No. The reason being is they know as soon as the first guy falls, the rest of the dominoes are going to topple for the wholly unbelievable, corrupt, influence peddling, just crazy, icky, just, bad.
Blow it out your ass.
Yeah, piles of crap that the Democrats are known for in their namesake. This guy is unbelievably corrupt right now, and all you got to do is wait for the chips to fall, because this Thananar guy is using his impeachment thing as a distraction and a fundraising gambit, because he knows when the hammer falls, his ass is grass. Scrolly. This one kind of tickled me a little bit. But supposedly, French President Macron is reportedly afraid that Cardinal Sarah will be the next pope. I think he's Senegalese, but to which I say, chocolate pope is a go. I would think it'd be interesting to have an actual, African serving as the pope for a change. I don't know if that'd be the very first time, but it would truly be an interesting change of pace to have somebody coming from, well, that culture and placing themselves in as the leader of the Catholic Church. What's it going to hurt? Get some different refreshing views. I really, truly was not a huge fan of Pope Francis. But you know what? He's just, what can you say about Pope Francis? But him and his history of not fixing things where the adults were looking at the kids and, yeah, the history is just not good about these. Yeah, it's.
My biscuits are burning!
Okay. That's not where I was going, but sure. Wow. But yeah, supposedly the history of these guys doing unscrupulous activities and not getting called for it is enough said right there because, yeah, somebody might just be, knocking on the door with something really unscrupulous. Yeesh. Sound guys, stop it. Stop. If I just merely mention something, he's got the button right there, okay? Okay, I get what he was trying to input there. Okay, he was trying to input that, yes, somebody will be knocking on the door for the guys that done an unscrupulous thing in the Catholic Church. Sound guy, don't hold your breath. These guys have gone away with this thing for a long time. Let's see. Scrolly. This is getting very, very interesting. There was an interview. I forget who the interviewer was. It was one of the news agencies, MSNBC or, one of those guys, CNN or some such. And they were interviewing Trump, and the guy's going on about, wow, you basically are kicking these guys out of country. And Trump goes, he was a gang member. And the guy goes, well, we don't know that for sure. He's like, look at the picture here. What does it say on his knuckles? Well, I'm not a professional. I can't quite decode what tattoos mean. He goes, it says the letter M, it says the letter S, and it says the numbers 1 and 3. What does that tell you? Well, I can't play judgment. And, Trump was just not let's get on to, these other things. And he was trying to hurry Trump along, and Trump was like, no. Here's the problem I have with you news guys. You play these games, and you try to make it so it's so bloody damn obvious to everybody, but you don't quite get it, and you're trying to obscure the truth. Excuse me one second here. I can't do it justice, though. That interview was absolutely blanking hilarious. The guy was like, well, I'm moving on now. And Trump was like, no, we're not moving on. I want you to look at this picture and say, does that say MS-13? Well, I can't say one way or the other. And the guy was like trying to get out, and Trump was not letting him go. It was absolutely hilarious. He was absolutely scrabbling for, no, I don't want to. And Trump wasn't letting him go. It was good stuff. Anyway, so new court documents now appear to vindicate Trump and his statement that, oh yeah, it was a gang member. Newly resurfaced documents from a 2018 court case involving the alleged MS-13 member deported to El Salvador appear to confirm his association with the gang. According to statements made by the ex-husband of his wife. Okay, so her first marriage to the ex-husband. Yeah, the guy was saying, I don't really like the kids being around this gang member. I remember hearing about this in the news. The guy was like, look, she's hanging out with him. He's a gang member. I'm fearing for the safety of my children. Because it was his kids, not the gang members. Yes. So Jennifer Vasquez Sierra, the wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, I don't even know if they were really truly married, but anyway, is at the center of the continuing controversy about whether the Trump administration was right to target him as a member of the violent gang and deport him to his home country. So, he was from El Salvador, and he went back to El Salvador. That sounds to me like he went back to where he came from. That sounds legit to me. Garcia was living in Maryland illegally for years before his arrest. Why? Because my suck-ass state happens to be a hide them out state. I really want to see the public officials getting hung out to dry, getting caught doing that type of stuff, and drug off saying, hey man, not cool. In the chat room, I have somebody new. Babu420. Oh, hey, what's up, man? Appreciate you hanging out tonight. So let's see. Scrolly. So this guy basically was playing the game, got caught doing it, continued to play the game. Of course, Maryland being a sanctuary state was giving him an aid and comfort, especially if he was living in Montgomery County. I will never, ever understand why rich guys want to live next to gang members in Montgomery County. But they do. Anyway, so this guy basically got tossed. The wife was like, oh yeah, he's bad juju. The first husband is like, oh yeah, he's really bad juju. So concurrently, we could say he's really bad juju. So according to records, Edwin Trejo Ramos, the ex-husband of Sarah, appealed to the Prince George's County Circuit Court with an emergency measure to obtain custody of the two children out of fear for their safety. Quote, my kids live. Whoa, bad English. My kids are in danger because she's dating a gang member, he said about Garcia. The affidavit is in the window to life of the Garcia family. Elsewhere, Ramos admits that Sarah probably tried to take her own life and said her therapist allegedly told her that the ex would never be able to receive custody of the children over her. This is looking very, very interesting so far. Since the arrest and deportation, Sarah has emerged as a public advocate for Garcia's return to the U.S., a decision that she and the allies claim rests with President Donald Trump. Can you say Stockholm Syndrome? Battered wife going, no, he should be here with me. Even though he kicks my ass on a daily basis, he really, truly does care. Yipes, lady. Let the guy rot in prison down there because you don't need that. Yeesh. During a contentious interview with ABC News to mark his 100th day in office, Trump agreed to reporter Terry Moran, that's what it was, ABC, that he could pick up the phone and request that El Salvador return Garcia. However, he said that's not going to happen given Garcia's affiliation with MS-13. Just so you understand, the person you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this MS-13 gang member, a tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and his wife is petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is not the innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland, Trump responded. This is the one where he's like, look at the picture, it says MS-13. Yeah, you got to look that interview up. It is comic gold. Excuse me 1 second here. Trying to get a news guy to, admit that the bad guy's the bad guy. Oh, my stars and garters, that was just... Sound guy, leave some for later, okay? Jeez, man, that dog's gonna be full, okay? That dog's gonna be full. You know what happens next, right?
But I pooped from there.
Anyway, sound guy, that's sounding entirely too much like wrong animal. I gotta make one with a dog, just for the fun of it. Anyway, let's see. Scrolling. So this guy's a total piece of crap. Trump's calling him on it. And obviously, the news guy's like, no, I don't want to save my job. I don't want to do it. Yeah, it didn't work, dude. You got hung out to dry on that one. This is something, I'm going to switch gears, going internationally yet again. But on the other side of the countries, not South America, but sliding across the Atlantic. This is something that really truly needs to have happen. Putin won't be exactly happy about this, but it is, unfortunately, kind of a buffer to do it this way. So, Putin will have to stand down now with an American mining presence in Ukraine. Why? Well, because right now we have signed a rare earths mineral agreement with Ukraine. So, our presence in Ukraine means Russia goes, "Ow, Thor's hammer. Darn it, we don't get to blow the place up anymore." But the real notoriety on that one could actually be said that, well, uh, Putin truly doesn't have to worry now about, NATO sticking their snoot in Ukraine and, putting up all kinds of bases on his border. Because literally what this is it has a historical reference. A lot of people don't get into this component of it. The real reason why Putin is, well, he has such a hard on for Ukraine is he's a student of history. If you ever saw that interview that he did with Tucker Carlson, he goes on and on and on about, like the history of how many times Russia's been invaded, where the invaders came from, why he's so concerned about Ukraine being Ukraine that he really, truly doesn't want to have these guys sneaking their way in, coming through the borders. Stop. Stop, sound guy, okay? Stop. Stop.
This is my boomstick.
Okay. We're not talking about boomsticks right now, sound guy, okay? Anyway, so the biggest thing... Stop! Stop. The biggest thing that Putin's concerned about is the fact that NATO... Well, okay, let's go back some years ago to Ukraine when they still had nuclear missiles that were Russia silos. There was a promise made to Ukraine saying, look, if you give up these missiles, we will protect you from Russia. We'll make sure that Russia doesn't come across the border, get snarky, obnoxious, and make all kinds of trouble for you later on. We will protect you. So Ukraine, in their infinite wisdom, said, okay, we'll give up the missiles, even though they had control of the missiles at that point, because obviously, this was the fall of the Russian, cadre, as it were, and of course, the USSR ceased to exist. All the Baltic states were becoming emancipated. Ukraine, obviously, amongst them. But they are the western border state to Russia, like directly like there, right next to, Belarus, all these other places that, were formerly really Russian territories, obviously the stands, Kazakhstan, Lithuania, obviously, Belarus, of course there was the other areas around it. I can't just rattle them right off my head. Yugoslavia, all these other guys. So all these states were components of the USSR. They got emancipated. Well, Ukraine gave up their missiles. We said, oh yeah, we'll protect you. What did the EU and NATO start doing? Well, they started planting NATO flags in all of these countries that are on the western border of Russia, going, no, you guys can't be in here anymore. We now are staking a claim here because we put the NATO flag down. And Russia's like, okay, stop. And there was a treaty that was written up between NATO and Russia, which NATO broke, the EU broke, and of course the United States was like, well, it's not right on our doorstep. We'll just let that crap happen. Excuse me 1 second here. So anyway, all these NATO flags are starting to get put up alongside the border, and Putin was like, okay, Thor's hammer, you're not going in Ukraine. You're just not, all right? That's right next to our border. We're not going to allow it. No blanking way. So, came out to be that essentially, that all the NATO stuff was happening, and Putin was finally like, you know what? That's it. I'm done with you guys. You are going to find out the hard way. I ain't playing any blanking more. No, sound guy. It was a little bit bigger than that. Just a bit, okay? It was just a bit bigger. So anyway, way, shape, which we find ourselves, it was... Okay, I think we get the message. So anyway, Putin's like, you know what? I don't want these guys coming through my border. I don't want these guys charging in from the west side. And the reason being, and obviously you can think along the lines of basically when we had Russians missiles in Cuba, 90 miles offshore, is he's thinking similarly, I don't want this crap on my western border coming back to bite me in the ass later on. Mostly, it's the historical references. Now, if you listen to that Tucker Carlson thing, Putin keeps referencing Nazis. He references Nazis a lot. Now, there's a reason why he keeps referencing Nazis, is you have to do a little bit of history, looking up things on your own. Why? Because all those Russian soldiers that got wiped out by the Nazis came through Ukraine as the invasion force. So, Putin has a long memory and a very good mind for history, and he's like, you know what? You're not doing it a second time. We're not going to allow this to happen. We're going to make sure that our border is secure. And as a matter of fact, we're going to ensure our border is really, really, really secure by making sure that you don't come in from there. And we are just going to F-chuck the place to hell. So anyway, way, shape, or form in which we find ourselves, that's where we are right now. And actually, we're trying to wind things down by putting in this mineral deal saying, Putin, look, dude, we get it, okay? And this is especially Trump saying this to Putin, saying, dude, look, we get it, okay? The history sucks. We are trying to find a way, charitably, to keep the EU and NATO from sticking their snoot in here too much, and obviously to keep you from coming in here and just flattening the Ukraine to basically be nothing but a glass bowl, all right? We're trying to find a happy medium that really, truly comprises something where both sides go, this is a compromise, this sucks. But it's better than the alternative of us just going to town and blowing up everything. So that's where that one's coming from, and that's why it's happening. But it's a sucky method, but, with us there, the Russians can ill afford an international crisis with the United States and the EU. Besides, they could use the help putting the country back together again in Ukraine, and Russia will know that NATO will not step too close, and we can assure Putin our motives are honorable, and we do not want further conflict to happen. So that's where that one's coming from. Scrolly. This one I think is absolutely hilarious. Supposedly, CBS was fighting Trump in court when Trump was suing them because they edited Kamala's, little. I'm gonna sound kind of stupid. I better get this one fixed. And they edited it so she sounded more intelligent. Excuse me 1 second here. Thus ensuring her election chances were much improved. And Trump was like, oh, hell no. So he took him to court, and he was suing the snot out of him, and they saw the ultimate conclusion that they were going to go, okay, we could just put our nuts up on the log here, and we're safe. Oh! No, that's really going to hurt. No, that's... Ow, no, ow, no, ow, no. Let's avoid more ow. So they decided they're going to do a settlement. Now, they haven't said what the dollar amount is, but knowing Trump, he might just donate that to, charity. Call it a good thing. But anyway, they wimped out and they showed off their, hang on a second here. They showed off their... to the world. That's right. They showed off their to the world. Yeah, and the whole time in court, I'm sure they were just... But when it came out to be the end result, it was like, take out the checkbook and, or you're gonna get... Yep, you're gonna get it. Yep, so you're going to get that if you play those games because you were found to be at fault and it's going to cost you dearly. It's going to cost you. Speaking of something that's going to cost them dearly, wow, I will never know why these guys thought it was going to be such a good idea to bend the knee at this BLM thing and say, oh yeah, we are with you. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation, thanks, sound guy, has reassigned several agents who were photographed kneeling with demonstrators.
Oh my.
Yeah, the reassignments viewed as demotions by many inside the FBI come nearly 5 years after the episode that ignited divisions inside the Bureau. FBI officials offered no explanation for changing the roles to less coveted positions for the agents. Oh no, they would never say that. They would never tell you why. That's just not going to have happen. Yeah, they would never tell you why. So anyway, these guys basically get the new assignments and go, oh no. Yeah, oh no. Oh no. Yeah, oh no. It's been extensive cleaning a house undertaken by the Trump administration in the months since after his election. Trump perhaps learned a valuable lesson during his first term in which many officials and employees within the federal government actively attempted to sabotage his presidency. The lesson? That government cannot function when ideological cultists run the bureaucracy from behind the scenes. The FBI agents in question are likely getting punished as a message to the rest of the Bureau that far-left guerrilla tactics will not be tolerated. That's coming in from truthpress.com. Scrolly. This makes me never want to upgrade from Windows 10. Wow. Now, you got to get Win 11 because there's no more updates on Win 10. Win 10 will never ever be updated any further. It's locked in now into perpetuity. You got to get Win 11. Well, here's yet another reason you should never ever update to Windows 11, 12, 13, 15, 75, whatever's coming down the pike. Why? And, of course, they're not going to do any further updates to Win 10, but here's the reason why. Breitbart.com, it's come out to be Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella reveals 30% of the company's code was written by AI. No, that does not give great presence of, oh yeah, this can be trusted. No, that does not give great presences and this can be trusted. No. Nope. Nope. Does not instill great faith. Not at all. No. Does not instill great faith at all. As a matter of fact, I would say probably...
I say we take off and nuke the entire bitch from orbit.
Absolutely. That is bad juju, man. I do not trust that in the slightest. The computer's taking over, okay? That's... or they say the computer's taking over. Yipes. Or not taking over. Holy crap. That just does not instill any form of, oh yeah, this can be trusted. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We'll just do that.
I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that.
Yeah, that's going to instill perfect, that you're really going to go, oh yeah, this computer's going to be absolutely trustworthy. I'm thinking pull the plug, man.
Ouch, that really hurt.
Yeah, I'm sure it did, okay?
Ouch, that really hurt.
Yeah, I do not trust you, dude. At all. Wow. 30% of the computer was written by AI. No. Pass. This whole Thanador thing or whatever it is, whatever his name was, supposedly 3 Democrats are saying they don't want any part of it whatsoever. No, this is coming from thehill.com. So, Representative Kwesi Mfume, Robin Kelly, and Jerry Nadler. 3 just, 3 fully...
Thing sucks.
Yeah, these guys. Good bounce. Our co-sponsors, had signed on as co-sponsors of Sri Thanadar's impeachment resolution, which includes 7 articles of impeachment. But Tuesday afternoon, they went to the floor and asked for their names to be taken off the legislation. The House clerk granted their request. Yipes! Just yipes. Wow. I don't know what you just said there, Patriot Fever. I didn't get a chance to see it before you pulled it off. If you want to pop it up there real fast, I could see it before you delete it again. But I didn't see what you said. Let's see. Scrolly. I don't know if you guys saw this one. This is yet another instance of the leftists being the leftists. Senior Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo villains. Yeah, he's truly what's the easiest way to say Jerry Nadler? Yeah, Jerry Nadler. Yeah, Jerry Nadler. Just a world-class piece of, yeah, it's just, yeah, he's... Yeah, Jerry Nadler is just that guy. Yeah. Okay, I think they got the message, sound guy. Thank you very much. Another leftard, Screaming Mimiite. This one coming off of one of my, new favorite pages on Facebook. But Barbara Streisand, which is the letters are absolutely perfectly correct, because Trump used to just refer to it as, I'm using BS, Barbara Streisand. So Barbara Streisand calls Trump, quote, completely unfit to be president, end quote, in a new memoir, praises Bill and Hillary as, quote, the most appealing couple. Well, it could be said you probably had, turns with both parties in that family. Yipes. Let's give me 1 second here. I got Tiggy juice. I don't put a lot of credence on what, Barbara Streisand has to say about anything. I do have to say, though, it's not the 1960s or 70s anymore. And you have your little bit of yeah, you are not going to be putting out anything that really puts any great credence on anybody, because you're just, yeah, your little is now, yeah, just full on. Yeah, so your fugly bent-nosed face is not needing to be seen too much anymore. Why? Because you're not all that, okay? Humorously enough, though, I did hear a quote. They were saying, oh, yeah, Bill goes out and gets scads of girls, but supposedly Hillary goes out and gets more... Yeah, she gets more of that than Bill does. I think they just had the one kid and called it quits. Speaking of obnoxious twits, this one coming in from that same page that I really like on Facebook. Supposedly AOC on the possible Trump impeachment. AOC, quote, we should never take impeachment off the table. We should never take... Whoa, that's written horribly for her. We should never take impeachment off the table. We should never take where we see law breaking off the table. What about your 15 years of cashing grandma's welfare checks? Or grandma's social... Oh, that's what it was. Grandma's social security checks? You had 15 years of doing that. 15 years of doing that? That constitutes a felony because that dollar amount. We should never take accountability off the table, and I don't think we should be, promising anything the way that Trump tries to promise certain, locking up his political enemies. But I do believe our legal processes exist for a reason. Impeachment exists for a reason, and it should absolutely be on the table. It should be on the table for every president. Every president should know that if you break the law, you'll be prone to be removed from office. That is the most... how do I say this without saying this while absolutely still saying this? Kamala would be saying...
Come on, squeal.
Don't want to come.
Yeah, that's pretty much what she would be saying. Oh, no. No. Sound guy. Okay, I don't think she'd be saying that. That's the other thing too, is you never see AOC doing anything that's even mildly like attractive to the males around. It's always just like she's always like it's like Beaker with like boobs. She sounds like Beaker with boobs. That's really all it is. Just yeah, just caca. Yeah, now that Joe's out of office, we can use that caca sound effect. Thank you, sound guy. Yeah, she sounds like caca. Okay. Yeah, she sounds like caca. Scrolly. I love this one. Hakeem Jeffries is ordering Democrats stop going to El Salvador. Oh, man. So I put in there the next line. Look, we're starting to look like even bigger. I got this one, sound guy. Hang on. I got this one. We are starting to look like even bigger if we keep doing it on the public dime, okay? Oh, so glad you approved, sound guy. Thanks. Wow. Stop going to El Salvador. Too funny. This one I find kind of insulting. Supposedly the guys come here, inculcate themselves in our society, but yet don't bother to have a functional vocabulary of English, and then drive tractor trailers in the United States. WTF, dude. You live here now. Speak the official language, because if we went down to a Latin country and said, no habla español, they'd be like, dude, get out of here. And I don't mean like get out of here. I mean like probably you get walked around the corner and you would get a little bit of, yeah, you just...
Yippee-ki-yay.
You'd be getting it really...
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know about a ding for that one, sound guy. But if you played... Okay, if you played that down there... Thanks, sound guy. No, you don't get... No, you do not get a ding. No ding for that one. Yes, you're getting in trouble. Stop that. But yeah, if you went down to a Latin American country and you don't have functional Spanish and you're trying to operate down there, you... All right, I'll allow it that time. Don't get cocky. So, the Cuban-American community could be one of the most affected, said a report from ElCubaCuba.com, which is basically, the English side of the Latin American magazine down there for Cuban Americans. Dude, if you don't speak Spanish, why are you operating a vehicle and thinking that you're just going to slide going through checkpoints? No, it shouldn't be like you need an interpreter. you should be speaking the language of the country which you now reside. Yeesh. AOC should return to bartending. That's funny, Patriot Fever. Let's see. Scrolly. Scroll. But yeah, I mean, if you're speaking nothing but Spanish and you need to speak English, dude, you need to learn English, okay? That's all there is to it. This one is absolutely emblematic of how stuff works in the real world. You know, the Chinese are like, oh, I'll never bend the knee to the Americans. They're so dishonorable and rude. Well, slight problem. Chinese workers are now protesting because their factories are closed, they're not working, and they're getting PO'd at the CCP. So the Chinese Communist Party. Let's see. So this is coming in from Breitbart.com, and I'm saying simply, see what happens when you give people in a communist nation the taste of freedom and prosperity? They want more. Yeah, so hundreds of Chinese workers are protesting as factories shut down due to the Trump tariffs. Oh, but they can weather the storm. They don't have to worry about Trump's tariffs. It's not that big a deal for the Chinese. They're so strong. They're an old culture, 5,000 years. You won't tell us what to do, you Yankee dog. Don't have to. All we have to do is just basically go, you know what? Washed our hands of your products. You figure out what to do with all your loading docks getting full of stuff that we aren't buying. Enjoy. It's all you. So, hundreds of angry Chinese workers are marching in the streets of China's industrial cities to protest layoffs and unpaid wages after President Donald Trump's tariffs forced the factories to shut down. Now, I heard about something else about this too, going outside the story I'm currently looking at. I heard expressly that the companies are now bankrupt and people were borrowing money to pay their workers, and they're now doubly indebted because now they have a bunch of products that they had to pay for to make, a bunch of workers had to pay for to make them, and now they're upside down because the loans are coming due. That is a financial hazard the Chinese do not know how to deal with, also known as, oh yeah, depression, little d, starting up in their country. So, unemployment's already a big problem as Chinese faltering post-pandemic economy, particularly youth unemployment, and now analysts are predicting Trump's tariffs could wipe out more than 16 million jobs. Now, in a country of 1.3, 1.4 billion people, that's 1%, but still, 14 million pissed off or 16 million pissed off people? That's a lot of pissed off people. Radio Free Asia, RFA, on Tuesday quoted Goldman Sachs analysts who predicted communication, apparel, and chemical manufacturers would especially be hard hit. One of the biggest strikes and protest marches occurred last week at a factory that produces sporting goods. Who's buying sporting goods right now? Yeah, that's a real bite in the bag. Sound guy, stop. Yeah. Dog chop, okay. Ding, no. Right, thank you. Many of the protesting workers are giving grievances that predate even Trump's first round of tariffs in February. Unpaid back wages are a frequent complaint, often stretching back into 2024. Oopsie. Workers at a circuit board manufacturer in Sichuan said they have not received Social Security benefits since 2023. Well, we're strong Chinese. We don't have to worry about Trump. We can falter never. We're strong in the face of the storm. Yeah. More like the outrageous lies of the Communist Party. A group of construction workers at Inner Mongolia threatened last week to jump off the roofs of buildings have been constructing if their back wages are not paid. That'll show them. Oh, yipes. Just guys jumping off and going kasplat. No, no. That's, no, that would just, that's all we need to have happen is these guys falling off the roof in protest. I'll show you, Chinese Communist Party! Hey, Cortana. Why are you doing the Cortana thing? Stop. Yeah, but that's all the Chinese Communist Party needs to see is some news guy going, okay, we're walking around Sichuan now looking at the construction sites. Apparently there's a protest going on. It's a Chinese protest.
You cock-juggling thunder cunt!
I'll let it slide once. Stop that sound guy. The Chinese Communist Party. Okay, stop. I got the stop button pushed. And no more of the cork juggling thunder meows. Stop. Wow. So many of the protesting workers have grievances and protests and this, that, and the other thing. Thousands of workers in China's electric vehicle EV plant giant BYD, also known as the Chinese version of Tesla. It's Tesla. They're junk. They're really junk. Walked off the job in March and April, angered by pay cuts and poor working conditions. The protesters said BYD reneged on promises made to its employees during corporate expansion. Chinese lying. The Chinese Communist Party encouraging lies. Stepping on the workers. Sounds like a communist doctrine. Yeah. Xi Fang, a survivor of the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest, told RFA that Chinese businesses were in much worse shape than the regime in Beijing was willing to admit, so the blow of Trump's tariffs struck much harder than predicted. Just give it a little while. It's going to be fun. Xi said conditions have steadily grown worse since the Wuhan coronavirus pandemic, which forced many businesses into a doom spiral, delaying payroll for as long as possible, then borrowing money to pay back wages once the fury of workers could no longer be contained. Wow. Quote, some of the bosses even said they'd rather go to jail than do anything, Xi said, alluding to the Chinese government's threats to arrest employers who failed to pay wages for more than 3 months. Excuse me, folks, this is getting delicious. Chinese factory activity is currently experiencing its worst slump since December 2023. Cargo shipments are down by up to 60%, while new export orders in April fell to the lowest levels since the pandemic. Ooh. These estimates are all based on official government data, since the Chinese government has a long history of fudging its numbers. Let's just be honest here, okay? The Chinese have a phrase, and they refer to it as that inconvenient habit. They lie all the time. In fact, they lie when they don't even intend to lie, and they lie again by going, oh, well, that was a lie, I'm so sorry, and then they lie to protect the first lie. Culturally, they're a bunch of disreputable, lying pieces of, how do I say this without saying this and being very nice in the process? I got this sound guy. They tend to lie more than a little bit, and they're a lying bunch of, hang on a second. Hang on. Lying bunch of, yeah, all right, I'll stick with that one. I just kind of ran through the list real fast. So, is that the other thing, fudging the numbers. The true situation was Capital Economics suggested on Tuesday Beijing's numbers for the first quarter were overly optimistic, for example. China is already experiencing terminally low levels of consumer confidence before the tariffs struck. So it's no great domestic market standing to absorb the goods America's not importing. Translation. Okay, this is the simple, easiest way to describe why it's grenading in China right now. China is an export nation. They are not a consumption-based nation. Translation, They don't have the money to absorb all that crap that they're making going, wow, why don't they order a package of blah, 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 because this factory down the street makes blah, 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 and this one over here makes blah, blah, blah. And if I get the two of these and put them together, I got to do blah, blah, blah. Yeesh. They cannot absorb that kind of just glut of stuff. They just can't. They don't have the ability. Patriot Fever. Picturing an entire nation going all Bruce Lee on its leader. What do they do? Draw a spot in line. Draw for a spot in line. I don't know about that one, dude, but the thing about it is they are just, yeah, they're...
Fatality.
Okay, I think he's done.
Fatality.
You're kind of doing them out of order, sound guy, okay? You're doing him really out of order. Dude was already on the ground. He's already had the fatality. Then you picked him up and gave him some more. Then you gave him another fatality. I think he's done, okay? He's done. He's done. Oh. And now he set him on fire. Real nice. I don't know where he goes with these ones, man. I really don't, okay?
Oh my.
And he just threw him through the window. Anyway, let me get back to the news story after this momentary disruption of sound guy. Wow. So China's already experiencing terminally low levels of consumer confidence before the tariff struck, so there's no great domestic product to absorb the goods America's not importing. Other countries do not seem eager to sacrifice their own domestic industries to soak up the tidal wave of Chinese overstock at bargain basement prices. Beijing's attempt to defibrillate the morbid economy with stimulus shock paddles during the last months of Biden's administration were considered disappointing by investors. Oh yeah, their stock market's cratering. The next big blow for the tariff war will hit China on Friday with a new 120% levy that hits packages that fall under the de minimis limit of $800 in value. Thor's hammer. About bloody damn time. All those Temu things, they're just gonna go. Yeah,
Oh my.
they're gonna get hit. And it's going to be fun to watch. So huge Chinese companies like Shein and Temu built their entire business model around taking orders via the internet and shipping small parcels of cheap goods directly to an American consumer. Shoppers discovered that tariff surcharges can more than double the prices from these Chinese outlets. Based on anecdotal reports, Temu seems determined to tell its customers exactly how much Trump's tariffs are costing them, while Shein is struggling to absorb the costs as quietly as it can. Temu, never stop complaining. Oh, the Trump tariffs are going to cost you this so much more money. Temu, maybe the fact that you're charging the customers the tariffs that, well, you're being charged for really tells you more than you really truly want to admit. It's the fact that your stuff is overly cheap to try to undercut the American market and try to keep the manufacturing from happening here. Ever think that? Yeah. So Chinese dictator Xi Jinping and the top officials remain defiant, but on Wednesday, Xi hinted that major policy changes could be coming to handle tariff damage. He did not say exactly what his government planned to do besides creating more propaganda to accuse the United States of being a bully. Oh, you're bully. You're a big bully. All you'll do is take our money. You're a big bully. Dude, at least use words you can pronounce, okay? That whole L and R thing is just, no, it doesn't fly, okay? Don't do that. Scrolly. Don't hear about this one, folks. But TikTok has now been fined $600 million for sending European user data to China. I guess the hits keep coming. Scrolly. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but there is now the NFL's first openly transsexual, I'm going to say it like that, openly transsexual cheerleader. Translation, it's a dude dressing like a girl with a bald head in a cheerleader outfit. Now, I mentioned this on Facebook, and I'll say it here too. Technically, since he's a man, he could perform topless, and he wouldn't have to worry about it. It would be completely legal for him to be a topless male cheerleader in the NFL who thinks he's a girl. I don't know how that one would work, but yeah, I think that one's gonna go flatline, folks. It's no. It's no. It's just no. 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 Just no. It's distinctly no. But I think if the top came off, I don't think that would fly. Jeez. Yeah, definitely critical stop. Definitely critical stop. Definitely critical stop. Scrolly. I don't know if this is a meme or if this really truly did have happened, but supposedly Disney was going to have an African American dressed up and doing the Tangled thing in a live action movie, and said, you know what? That might not fly because it might be seen that
You're despicable.
Yeah, so they decided that they were going to hold off on that one. Really, sound guy? Yeah, they just looked at it and thought about it again and were like, society seems to just go,
Snoo!
it's not snoo, sound guy. It's not snoo.
Death! By...
Okay, so anyway, the live action Tangle with an African American person is not happening. It's dead duck. Scrolly. I got a bunch of memes I really can't get into. There was one I thought was pretty hilarious, and I showed this to Mrs. Dude, and she was kind of chuckling. But it's Trump behind the presidential desk. You know, I forget what they call the thing, but the presidential desk, it's really ornate and whatnot. And leaning on the one side and kind of around the corner of the desk, but still being able to be seen, you know, obviously on the Trump side of the desk, but around the corner is, you know, Elon Musk's son, Little X. So Little X was playing in the Oval Office as Trump was working, and you can see Trump is doing his whole, you know, grandfatherly, yeah, well, you know, the kid's playing in the room. That's just how things are. You know, so obviously, you know, him playing the good grandfather, he was just playing the good grandfather yet again for somebody else's kid. Try to find. I got so many memes up where I'm being a smartass. I don't know if this one is really a good true news story or not, but it is still blanking hilarious. And I cannot begin to tell you just how funny I think this is. But supposedly, and this is kind of one of these cultural things, okay? So Cinco de Mayo is a celebration in Mexico of a war or, like, you know, some dust up that have happened, and when it ended, you know, Cinco de Mayo was a celebration of the ending of that dust up. They really don't celebrate it. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just another day. It's like, it's when, you know, it's like the War of 1812. It's kind of like, you know, we know the date and we know it's something notable, but it's not like we're going, oh yeah, man, let's get the beer out and party hardy. It's not the case at all. But anyway, So CNN is reporting, and I don't know if this is like one of these, liberal feel-good news stories, but CNN is reporting Mexicans are skipping Cinco de Mayo celebrations out of fear of being deported. Oh no, La Migra! Yeah. Hey Pedro, get in the truck. So anyway, CNN, today is May 5th, and that means Cinco de Mayo, a holiday that celebrates Mexico's victory over France in the Battle of Pueblo, I should say. But some communities have canceled or scaled back cultural events because President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and the fear among many Latinos they could be arrested. Well, if you're here illegally and you fear being arrested, guess what? Eventually, you're going to get arrested, okay? It's not like they're just going, hey, wait for the Cinco de Mayo thing. These guys will come out, and then, of course...
Death! By snoo-snoo!
Okay. No, sound guy, it's not the case at all. Stop. Anyway, so these guys are now seeing if they go out and they get caught...
Come on, squeal.
But I pooped from there.
This 30 seconds of Sound Guy going bonkers. Brought to you by Sound Guy. Sound Guy, would you stop? Please. 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 Please.
You rooster vacuum.
Saracana.
Sound Guy.
You dick.
Anyway, stop. Just stop. We're going back and forth here, and people don't see what's going on behind the scenes. But anyway, stop. Sound Guy. Sound Guy. He's at it again. Anyway, so basically they're now worried about being deported if they do attend a Cinco de Mayo. I'm calling that balderdash. I don't think that's true and all. See, is there anything else going on? Oh, yeah. Trump had the whole thing where he fired, basically cleaned house on the Voice of America. They took it to a D.C. Court of Appeals. They lost. Let's see. One of Biden's friends, shall we say, admitted to abusing her signature authority in the State Department in a checking account between March 2022 and April 2024. Lavita Almute, Farrar, 64. She admitted to it. How much did she cut checks for? $657,347.50 in fraudulent charges. She's now looking at, well, potentially 10 years in Club Fed. Ugh. Yuck. Supposedly Trump's not planning more with the judge trying to sabotage his stuff. He's going to lay down some serious hurts on him. He's probably going to tell Congress to just simply get rid of that office, delete the need for that judge. Bye-bye. Defund. See ya. So long. I think I saw this one or not, but supposedly the one guy that stabbed the other guy in Texas. If you look at the pictures, the news guys are changing his appearance to make him seem more charitable to white guys, I guess. You know, they're lightening the skin. They're trying to make him look younger. They're trying to look more contrite, more scared. You know, they're doing these things to try to make the guy look less, mean, onerous, feisty, what have you. There's a couple pictures, though, and I posted them up side by side, and you literally could see the difference. Like, they lightened his skin tone up, and they actually changed his facial features to some degree. And they really, really tried to make him look very, I'm scared, very contrite. And you can see on the pictures, like, some of this stuff, obviously, they were tweaking it. And they're doing facial AI kind of, photoshopping things. You can see these things in the pictures side by side. Trust me on that one. Scrolly. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but supposedly, the Biden era relocated FEMA supplies that was intended for after Hurricane Helene, and they were sending them off to areas to feed the illegals. I don't know if it's true or not, but sounds plausible. Supposedly, there's now something else going on. If you're in the military and you're trying to say that you're trans or you're now in process of being trans and you need surgery, guess what? Your new pronouns are medical discharged. They are not playing that game any longer, and the U.S. military needs men and women who can field at a moment's notice and fix things when they need to get done. Not go, oh, well, hey, I need to get another therapy session in before I get my shots of, whatever yum-yum juice to change me up from one to the other. Yeah, none of that stuff is legit when you have combat troops or when you need to send them out to fix the problem. They got 4F'd. Oh, that's funny, Patriot Fever. They got 4F'd. I think that's everybody. Supposedly, BRICS news, China removes 125% tariff on U.S. ethane imports. So basically, I think it's one of the petrochemicals or something they use for designing, making, using construction or making other stuff in laboratory type things and what have yous. I don't know what ethane is, but it doesn't sound good. Ugh. It doesn't sound good. Oh, music! Alright, going on in a 1 hour and 10 minutes change time period. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and you got many other things to do besides to hang out with me on a Tuesday. I thank you much for all your kind attentions. If you watch me afterwards, that's fine. If you watch me currently, I truly appreciate it. If you go in the chat room and, go back and forth, that's cool too. Truly appreciate your kind attentions, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Get a gold star for attendance. I will see you guys next week, unless I put out something sooner. But I got a really crazy weekend going on, so probably not. So I'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one. I will see you then. Eagle Krypton Ring is always, you know what, you love it. I will catch you guys next week, and I will see you then. Catch you guys later. Have a good one. See you guys.